Panago Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wild.
You know, I can't express to you the perfection that this week was. The second half
really?
of it. Yeah, I can't put it together other than to say this. Darren Farris and Dave Feschuk were meant for each other. Those two are a match made in greasy hockey heaven. It is unbelievable. When you run down the events of what happened this week, now, if you're not a Leaf fan, you probably missed some of this stuff.
Greasy hockey heaven.
Holy moly, those two are just so great together. And you know what I hate about this? Is that at the end of this discussion, I'm going to be defending Dave Feschuk.
Oh, I know.
It's not even his fault.
It's disgusting, right?
Yeah. Oh, it
feels awful.
Here's the other thing. I had to subscribe to the Toronto Star, which I don't mind.
Yeah.
It's like $14 a year, and I support journalism.
There you go.
But I had to subscribe after that article came out. So you know what? Hats off to you, Mr. Feschuk. I'm not necessarily a huge fan, and I saw the way the article was written, and it's greasy. But I think you meant it that way.
It's a real
and
good
you got me to subscribe,
Adam.
So it worked.
Adam, I did not subscribe, so please describe to me what was in this article.
Okay, so I'm going to start with something I said that was very unpopular.
Okay.
That I'd like to clarify, but also back up. I'm not changing anything.
You said that you hate babies.
Yes.
So I guess here's why I'm a little caught off guard. The Darren Farris comments didn't come out until after the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was Matthew's contract breaks. We record immediately after, and then Darren Farris takes center stage hours later.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wasn't it the next day?
No, it was
no,
like that night.
Yeah.
He couldn't wait to take center stage.
Well, and this is what I said at the time, and here's what I want you to know before I read you these comments. What you're about to hear, the events that unfolded were 100% ready to go weeks ago.
Yep.
This was a choreographed performance, and boy, did they stumble.
Like the Nutcracker.
That's right. If the Nutcracker fell on its face and knocked out its two front teeth twice.
Wow. Okay.
So here's what I said after the Darren Farris comments came out with the Dave Feschuk article.
Quote yourself. It's always weird to do an impression
Do
of
we need
yourself.
to know the comments first?
I will tell you them first.
Okay.
Trust me, I have it all lined up.
All right.
Oh, Adam knows.
Don't worry.
Let's go.
Do not be surprised if Leaf fans start to turn on Mitch Marner. Inflammatory statement.
That is Dave Feschuk.
Was that you?
That's what I said that.
Oh, you said that.
said, don't be surprised if Leaf fans turn on Mitch Marner.
At the time,
Okay.
all we had was the article, and then Darren Farris was about to go on both 1050 and 590 to clarify. Now,
He's 100% right, by the way. Like, we're a fickle bunch.
So here's what I said. First, we got Mitch's dad's comments in The Athletic. Second, his agent's comments yesterday re Matthew's contract, which we will get to.
His agent, Farris.
Sorry, Agent Farris, yeah.
Yes,
and third, whatever his agent says today on Jeff Blair's show, because Jeff Blair had him on, I think after 1050 had him on.
Yes.
They are clearly looking for fan leverage in negotiations, and that's a really important point. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Dangerous path to walk when the majority of Leaf fans cannot afford a house in this city and find it hard to purchase tickets to go to a game even once every couple years. Demands like this will not elicit sympathy, and that's what I tweeted.
Yeah. Well, and you know who always gets people on the player's side?
The agent.
The agent.
Yeah, now.
Always. I'm like,
That was a hefty tweet.
So
was it one tweet?
No, there's two tweets.
Can you read it through it again?
Okay.
Adam Special, he gets 500 characters.
Okay, do not be surprised if Leaf fans start to turn on Mitch Marner. First, his dad's comments in The Athletic. Second, his agent's comments yesterday re Matthew's contract. Third, whatever he says today on Jeff Blair's show. They're clearly looking for fan leverage in negotiations. Now, here's what I continued on, and this will make a lot more sense once you hear the full weight of what Darren Farris told Dave.
The next tweet in your thread.
Yes.
Okay.
Dangerous path to walk when the majority of Leaf fans can't afford a house in this city and find it hard to purchase tickets to go to a game once every 2 seasons. Demands like this traditionally do not play well in this market. We'll see where it goes this time. And I said, let me be perfectly clear. I love Mitch Marner. These are negotiations. You got to do what you think will win your side the most money. There's no morality in business. I do not begrudge either side anything in this. And then I followed it up again with, also, the Marner camp won't negotiate during the season to let Mitch focus focus on hockey. Meanwhile, his agent's doing interviews, knowing how flammable the media here can be. But sure, it's about focus and not about taking away the Leafs' main negotiation advantage, which is the time between now and July 1st to present an offer. Now, let's talk about what Darren Farris said, shall we?
Adam was aggressive about it, but I tweeted something similar, and I don't think he's wrong at all.
Okay, so now these are the comments that sparked your tweets, what you're about to say.
These are the comments from Dave Feschuk's article. Now, let me be on the record and say, and I think Jeff Blair said this too, he said, I think Jeff Blair made an allusion to the fact that if there was one writer he'd be willing to call it would be Dave Feschuk.
Oh, wow. And they both wrote for the Star at one point,
Dave Feschuk is the guy, now I could be wrong on that, so if I misquoted Blair, I apologize, but Dave Feschuk is the guy that pissed off Phil Kessel to the point where he's like, this guy's an idiot. Remember those comments? He said, are you a hard guy to coach?
Yeah, that among other things.
Dave Feschuk loves this. He's looking for this. So this is perfect for him. And here are the quotes. Regarding Matthews' contract, Darren Farris says, that's probably the best contract in the National Hockey League. There's no team-friendly discount there. So far, and I'm just skipping ahead here to all the quotes in the article. So far, they've been trying to lowball Mitch. There's a reason that it's come to this point. Nobody else is taking a discount, and now you're asking Marner to take one? It's nonsense. Mitch already did them a favor on the entry-level deal. Now, I'm going to explain what that means. So while Farris, this is a direct quote from Dave Feschuk.
This is absurd that
While Farris negotiated a so-called Schedule A bonus for Marner with a potential of $850,000 annually, the agent said it was told that it was a club blanket policy to not hand out lucrative Schedule B bonuses, which also come with the potential added income of $2 million in annual earnings. It didn't sit well when he learned that Matthews signed a deal not long after that included both the Schedule A and Schedule B bonuses. Now, that was when Lou was in charge.
Yeah, well, and remember it took forever to get Matthews signed, and everyone's like, what's the hold up there, bud?
So how come... So if it was a team policy, how come they broke it from Matthews?
Because Matthews is a number one
because
overall
he's the first overall pick.
I don't know. You should treat everyone equally.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. When it comes to Marner,
what was that business thing you said? There's no ethics.
No.
Don't 31 teams win the Stanley Cup every year?
Every year.
Isn't that how that works
Communism,
in sports?
Yes. Communism HL.
And everyone gets paid the same on the team.
Now this is the kind of writing that Dave Feschuk threw in this, okay? Get ready for this sentence. When it comes to Marner, no dicker Dubas has become a bargain hunting haggler, at least in Farris's telling.
No dick or Dubas?
No dicker. As in, he tries to lowball everybody. No dicker Dubas has become a bargain hunting haggler, at least in Farris's telling.
Hold on.
So here's what Farris continued on. Now, later on in the article, he said, this is great for all players. I think it's a great contract for the player regarding Matthews. As long as they treat Mitch with the same respect, there shouldn't be an issue. Now, here's where it really gets crazy, and it's towards the end.
Oh, because it hasn't gone off the rails already. That's good. Okay, good.
And shout out to both Feschuk and Farris for this, because, again, match made in media heaven.
Oh.
Mitch will get what Mitch is due. But as far as the Maple Leafs, it's up to them how they value him. If it works out with them, it works out. We'll see at the end of the year what their position is and whether they're motivated to sign Mitch or not. It's totally up to them.
Okay, so I read that and went, okay, he's going to be tough guy about this. Mm-hmm. He's going to be, hey, here's our number. You can take it or leave it. Mitch will find another team. And I thought that's where it was. Very combative. All right, it's going to be like this. Till I woke up the next morning, Adam.
And Darren Farris went on both sports radio stations in Toronto to quote-unquote clarify his comments.
By the way, Adam, you missed the best part of that article, where Darren Farris gets in front of Mitch Marner and goes, I love this man. All I could think while reading that whole thing was friggin' Terrell Owens' agent. Okay, that's all I could think of.
He reminds me of, this guy, Darren Farris sort of reminds me of Anthony Scaramucci with these quotes.
Oh my God.
What's he going to do? Not sign him? Hey.
What? Because he's Italian, he talked like that. So I don't remember that.
So he goes on both radio stations
Baba Bucci
to clarify these quotes. And here's what he alludes to. He says that the quotes are from the summer. Like Mitch Marner's dad's quotes, which were from the summer, and that was from a Jonas Siegel article in The Athletic.
Right, so Mitch Marner's dad went off. Those quotes were from the summer. Darren Farris, the implication in the way he spoke here was that those quotes were from the summer.
And they were out of context, and Feschuk took advantage of him. Now, Dave Feschuk clarified and wrote this. To clarify, the quotes from Darren Farris in this piece were from yesterday, not from the summer, as Farris mistakenly implied on First Up 1050, which is the morning show. Just spoke to Farris, who acknowledged he meant to say referred to events from this summer. Bullshit. Now, make no mistake. Mitch Marner's family called Darren Farris, or Mitch Marner maybe did it directly because he's a grown man.
These are things you're saying.
This is what I'm saying now.
Okay.
Here's what I'm saying.
This is interesting.
The Marner family called Darren Farris after this article came out.
This is what you think happened.
This is what I think happened.
You have no proof that this happened, just to clarify.
I'm fucking right.
Allegedly.
Listen, here's my new feature on this show. It's called Adam Wilde is Right. And Adam Wilde is right here. Believe me, I have an agent, and I know what I would do.
This is a really good Reddit thread. Adam Wilde is right. I love it.
Mitch Marner, or his family, or both, called Darren Farris after this article came out. Because here's what happens. Matthew signs the deal, and a couple hours later, here comes Darren Farris to take a big old dump on it.
Just charge right away. The ink's not even dry yet.
I want you to imagine that you're Mitch Marner, Steve Dangle.
Oh, God, this is so great.
Friend, your roommate on the road.
I need sugar. Sorry, what?
Your best friend and your roommate on the road just signs a $58 million contract.
So you know what I'm going to do? Shit on him in the media.
That's right. So you walk into practice the next day. And
morning skate.
All anybody can talk about is what your agent said the day before.
This is what I tweeted right after ice surfing, because I guess the story really blew up and I didn't have time to read up on this. I was just reading up on things that were happening in games that were actually going on that night. And I get home and I'm like, he doesn't want his client to be distracted. Darren Farris doesn't want Mitch Marner to be distracted midseason. He just wants him to focus on playing hockey. He's about to be asked about these questions in like 11 or 12 hours. Like the second morning skate is done around 10:45. Everyone's going to be like, we want Mitch. CJ's going to want Mitch. Everyone from TSN's going to want Mitch.
They're doing their job.
Dave Feschuk might even be there to want Mitch. Everyone, The Athletic, everyone's going to be there because that's the story. You made it the story. You took a shitload of pressure off Austin. He already did his presser yesterday. He doesn't need it.
Mitch Marner.
Oh, he said he was very happy for him and that he was unaware of his agent's comments to Dave Feschuk in the media. Yeah. Which you know is not true.
Well,
what else is he going to say, though?
Can I say something naive? See, Adam and Jesse, you guys are the resident adults of the show. I still prefer to go through life with a childlike naivety. And I like to think that it is possible, though unlikely, that Marner didn't know those quotes, or at least didn't know about them before they went public. So he may have actually read them.
Oh, I don't think Marner knew that. I don't think Marner knew about what this tax was going to be.
I get the terrible impression, because usually I feel like the agent's a mouthpiece for the player. The agent says all the unpleasant things that a player can't say publicly themselves. I don't know if that's the case here with Marner.
I think in this case, this is a negotiating tactic by Darren Farris. The Marner family probably said, hey, or Mitch himself, I don't know who handles that, to say, hey, listen, negotiate the contract, I'm going to play hockey. And Farris said, great, I got some ideas.
I don't
Good
even
for
know.
You, we pay you for that.
I don't even know about the Marner family.
Well, I think, Mitch.
The dad. I think just one guy.
Probably the dad. Now,
the mom, she's, she does what she does. Floss, be tall. She's just great.
She gave him that height.
She gave him that height.
Yeah, gave him that height. Oh my God.
That's the reason he's an NHL player.
Was that a Mark Hunter thing?
Mark Hunter.
Oh, his mom's tall, so...
I knew he would be good in the NHL because I saw his mom and she was 6 foot, so I knew he'd be good.
Okay. Oh my God. It's just... Oh, I love this team.
Thank you, Mark Hunter.
I love this hockey team.
Let's continue, shall we?
Yes.
And let me reiterate that this was planned. Farris wanted this.
You think.
I think. This was planned.
You can't say things with facts.
I can have an opinion.
Yes.
This is my opinion. This was planned, and Farris wanted this. And if you heard him on 1050 or 590, which I went back and listened to the replays.
Oh, hell yeah, you did.
And I looked at the comments after people on Leafs Twitter, fan reactions, Leaf fan reactions, you might even say.
Hey, I'm suing.
And what did people say about Darren Farris? What do you think they said?
What are people saying about Darren Farris? I'm going to go with largely negative.
Actually, you're wrong.
Really?
A lot of people said, hey, he sounds like a really nice and reasonable guy. I was expecting some cold-hearted villain, and that is because he backpedaled, no question, and he knows how to sound like a nice and reasonable guy.
So you go in expecting... So
he sets himself up as a villain, and then the next morning goes on and goes, guys, I'm just a person like you. I'm just a cool... Listen, we want Mitch to play for the Leafs. Mitch wants to play for the Leafs. We'll get something done. It's all good.
So there's... I'll cite him again. There's a Patrice O'Neill bit where he talks about sneakers were $40. And then one day, they went up to $80, and everyone went, $80? Oh my God! And then they put them down to $60, and everyone went, whew. Woo, thank goodness there's $60. That's exactly what Darren Farris did here.
You nailed it.
He jacked the price to $80, and when he dropped it to $60, we all went, oh, everything's okay now.
And
Don't worry,
the way,
everything's fine.
There's a name for that. It's Brinksmanship negotiation. It's why Donald Trump freaks so many people out. You go to the absolute nth degree first, and then you work your way backwards. It's a scare tactic. The Soviets used it to great effect when they were negotiating with the Americans during the Cuban Missile Crisis. It was brilliant.
That's my second favorite negotiating term from this podcast. My favorite so far is no dicker.
No dicker dubis.
Yeah, I can't believe. How did I miss that one?
I don't know, man. See, you don't subscribe to the Star. This is why you need to do such things.
Apparently.
That $14.
Yeah, now,
Journalism.
Now, I was saying that it wasn't too smart of a road for Mr. Farris to walk because you can't win in this city by negotiating through the fans. It's never worked. We're too savvy and we're too easily pissed.
I will agree with half of the first one and all of the second one.
Also, for that
for
to
me,
work,
anyway.
For that negotiation tactic to work, to take it to the brink, to go nuclear, we will fire missiles at your capital cities and destroy your country.
Jesus.
For that to work, you got to have a client that is willing to walk away. Now, this worked for him when Andreas Johnsson was in Detroit, when Cam Atkinson was in Columbus. He did a little bit of this in the media.
Cam Atkinson, really?
I believe it was Cam Atkinson, yeah.
Or was it Josh Anderson?
It was Josh, well, it might have been Josh Anderson.
I was like, Cam Atkinson.
Josh Anderson is what I mean. Thank you for the correction. He did this. He's done this before. This is his MO. If you study this agent, this is what he does.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is about Detroit and Columbus, and people from Detroit and Columbus know this, it ain't the same as Toronto.
No, and also, like, Andreas Johnsson and Josh Anderson did not have a quarter of the bargaining ability that Mitch Marner does.
No.
Marner's a top 10 scorer in the league this season.
Yeah.
Johnsson was, like, struggling to make Detroit's lineup. And Anderson, I don't know, how many, is he above 10 goals this season?
Third liner? Yeah, we were wondering why he was holding out. Remember
it's like when Richie.
Yeah, he might hold out again this year. I think he's an RFA again. He was a tough negotiation the last time. Also, okay, so for that to work, you got to have a client that's willing to walk away. We know that Mitch Marner wants to be a Leaf.
I think so.
All this bravado about hopefully it works out is total bullshit, and we all know that. Mitch Marner will be signed. It's a question of for how much, for how long, and who has to be let go from the team to accommodate it. And you know that Mitch Marner is going to be a Leaf. I know that Mitch Marner is going to be a Leaf. The Leafs know that Mitch Marner is going to be a Leaf.
Yes.
Now, I have one message in all of this for our fellow media members. Specifically to them. It is becoming alarmingly apparent who of you has Mr. Farris on WhatsApp.
Oh, dear, Adam.
And maybe, I'm not going to name names.
Are you about to read another tweet?
No, I'm not going to read it. I don't need to.
You've been following Bobby Cappuccino?
I think people know. And it's more than just...
What are you referring to?
Well, here's a fun thing. So when I was on The Fan earlier this summer,
Okay.
there was a report from a specific reporter who said, Mitch Marner...
Who is the reporter?
I'm not going to name names. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I am just putting this out there as my fellow media members, my fellow Canadians, my fellow Americans. I should have picked up on this in the summertime when this report came out. I should have. I should have been smarter. Because two-time 60-point scorer Mitch Marner was apparently going to ask for $10 million, which at the time, even though John Tavares was coming to town, sounded absolutely ludicrous.
It really... Okay, now it makes some more sense.
Yes, but in that
Back
context...
then, it was like, what? What do you... Okay. I'm not sure where this comes from.
Guy who's played with 30-goal scorer 2 seasons in a row, JVR, and Bozak, who had 50 points and 45 points.
Well, and I mean,
Not that he wasn't a great part of that line, but...
Right. At the time, the $10 million number, it sounded like... It even sounded like a high number for them to start at.
Yes.
Because your ask should start high, but
Yes.
even that, I was like, that's ludicrous. He's going to get like 8. Now that he's blowing the world apart, it makes a little bit of sense.
I can
for
see
sure.
him making that now. But
Yes,
at that time,
sure.
he hadn't proven that.
It's
He's
getting
now
to the
proven that.
point. Well, now it's at the point where I'm like, oh gosh, if it's only 10, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
So someone reports that Mitch Marner is going to ask for $10 million. And
Right.
what do you think?
I am merely going to suggest that members of the media stop tweeting verbatim what Darren Farris has to tell you. Darren Farris is using you, as he should. That's his job.
Which Darren is this?
This is Darren Farris.
Oh, this is Darren Farris.
Yeah.
Okay.
The agent for Mitch Marner. We know, and it's very clear, who of you he's talking to. And he's going to do this. He's using you. And you're falling for it hook, line, and sinker. Now, I know we all have to get clicks. I know we all need to get ratings. I get it. I totally get it. However, this is getting borderline ridiculous.
I think
Darren Farris overplayed his hand this week. But Darren Farris will be back.
I think you think people are getting tricked, Adam.
I don't think they're getting tricked.
I don't think they're getting tricked. I think they just have very itchy backs. And they need a little scritchy scratch. And he's more than happy to be the tree trunk.
Well, and here's the thing. What we learned this week.
I was imagining the toilet paper commercial with the bear. I'm sorry.
What we learned this week is, as with Dave Feschuk, not only will he give you that quote or that inside information, he will sell you up the river, like he did with Dave Feschuk. So tread carefully with this guy.
We have, so we've been simplifying it a little too much on the show, and by we I mean me. So whenever there's a leak from the Leafs, because we know it's not coming from the Leafs, it's not coming from management, they're tight-lipped. I keep saying it's coming from other teams around the league, which, I mean, surely it is. But I think it's also coming from these agents.
Has to.
Loose lips, man. I think that's where most of it comes from. Honestly, and again, from my very little experience, like, I don't know, I got into it on Twitter a couple of years ago where someone asked a question about like journalism, like sports journalism, and I chimed in with an opinion. Now, listen, I'm not a sports journalist, but I know a little bit, guys. Like, listen, I know I'm the yelly, screamy dude on YouTube. I've been here for a sec. I know a little bit. Agents love to talk. It's all they love in the world. They have zero secrets. So I think a lot of this comes from agents, man.
And the thing I would say is...
This one specifically.
It's not that I blame members of the media for doing what they're doing. However, you got to get it from more than one source. It's
a pretty good source, though.
But is it? Are you just becoming, in effect, a propaganda arm of that agent and therefore that player?
And there's where it gets more difficult. It's a good source to start with.
Yeah, sure.
But then there's not a lot of verification.
And the good reporters verify.
Yes. And this is where I am weak. Like I've talked to people before. I've been like, "Oh, so and so said this." And they go, "Can you verify that with anyone else?" And I go, "No." And they go, "You probably shouldn't say that publicly then." Like, fair enough. So, yes, Jesse.
But with the $10 million comment, he was right.
But at the time, he wasn't.
At the time,
it was a negotiation context.
At the time, it was surprising.
Yeah.
Imagine he backed it up.
2-time 60-point getter.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Hey, it's something that you always talk about, betting on yourself.
Yeah.
He bet on himself, and
but
shit as it worked.
They wanted $10 million last summer. Now, okay, I get it. I get it. Last summer, no. You hadn't proven it yet. Now he's proven it. I'm good with that.
Totally.
Things change in 6 months. That happens.
Also, like, I just feel like, I don't know, when did the war start? Like, what is it? Like, Mitch Marner is one of the... who is the most beloved member of the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Oh, it's got to be Mitch.
I think it's Mitch.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even more than Austin, who I adore.
How could you not love him?
I think... What happened there?
I'm not sure either.
Sorry. One of us pressed a remote. No, I think it's Mitch. And he gets the whole PR thing. He's always there when there's a camera. But, like, he's doing the right thing as well. And, there was the thing the other night, kid with the sign, "Hey, Mitch, I beat cancer," gives him a stick. He goes out there and he has fun. I don't know if there's a more gifable member of the Toronto Maple Leafs or lovable member of the Toronto Maple Leafs?
You guys saw the picture of him in the subway yesterday, right?
Yes!
With Jake Gardner behind him being
Bang!
a creepy
Front
smile.
and center. Bang!
It's great.
And what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
That's the sort of thing that PK Subban's criticized for all the time, by the way. Maybe some people are a little bit more subtle about it, and who really gives a shit, to be honest. I don't know what this campaign is to make the most lovable member of this team suddenly hateable. And thank God they beat the Ottawa Senators. Thank goodness, because the Sens are up 2-1, and I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be ugly. Then the Leafs go up 4-2. Oh, this is fantastic, and Mitch is right in the middle of it. Awesome. And then they cough it up. Oh, this is even worse than when they were down 2-1. Oh, for crying out loud, please win this game. Mitch, you need to buy around for Morgan. You need to buy around for Morgan, I'm just saying, because I think he saved you a couple headaches. Saved you a few Advils there, Mitch.
I think in the long run, all this, I don't want it to get lost that I don't think that this was a Mitch Marner play. I think this was a Darren Farris play.
I don't think so at all.
But
no.
I also think this was a Darren Farris misplay. And I think that he looks like a total goof. Now, he's an agent. He doesn't care. As long as he gets his client the money, who cares? However, study what this guy's other clients have had to do. This is
I don't think it's going to come to that.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think he's going to have to hold out. I think it's like, okay, they're going to have to find a number. Do I think it's going to be a full 8 years? No. And it's going to feel like the Matthews contract. Like, yeah, that leaves a lot to be desired, or yeah, it's okay. But hey, listen, we got him locked up for 3 or 4 next year. They don't want to go, like Bob McKenzie said, they don't want to go 4 years because that takes him right to unrestricted free agency.
It'd be nice if you could get one of these guys locked up to 8.
It would be nice.
It would be nice.
So I guess in the long story short is, to the fellow members of the media, be careful.
Yes. Why'd you look at me when you
to
said
Leaf
that?
fans? No, not you. To Leaf fans, try not to turn on Mitch Marner because this isn't him.
No, I don't think anyone's doing that.
But if you're Mitch Marner and you hear this, you're paying this guy. Make sure he represents you properly.
I think he's thought about all this in between games of Fortnite and just being a lovable scamp.
You think so?
I do.
Well, I think he's thought about it this week.
I don't think he's dumb. Like, Mitch Marner is...
But Steve...
in an era where the Leafs are finally allowed to take advantage of the fact that they're Toronto Maple Leafs, because they weren't really under Lou Lamoriello. I said it last show, I think. Zach Hyman has a shampoo commercial. Come on, man. Like, you're actually allowed to take advantage of being a Toronto Maple Leaf. Mitch has done that. And he's embraced all things good and bad about it. And he's used his powers for good, too, and charitable causes and everything. He's been great. So I don't think there's any naivety here. I don't think he's clueless about anything. Except for maybe. I think he might have been a little alarmed when the comments came out. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit. I don't know. I despite the ugly posturing, I think it's just that, posturing. He's going to come out of this fine.
Is there a world in which Mitch Marner plays so well for the next 29 games that it becomes very difficult to sign him without giving him a giant check that looks a little absurd?
Jesse, Adam, I will cover the show's donation to the Marner Jar for today, because that sort of question is exactly what the Marner Jar was designed for. Yeah. It's also not a bad question.
But I'm asking it.
It's not a bad question, and I have an answer for it. So I was talking to someone about this yesterday. Andreas Johnsson. Holy shit. He's been so good recently, and just like Mitch Marner, right? And Kapanen's had a very good season. He's slowed down a little bit, but he's still real good. Looks good every night. It's just the puck's not going in as often.
His scoring slowed down, but he hasn't.
Whoa. Thank you very much.
Because he's fast.
You get it? You get it? And, I was talking to this person. How are they going to sign? It wasn't even about Mitch, because it's going to get done.
Sure.
Get Mitch done, and then everyone else is secondary. Unfortunately, as much as I love them, they're secondary. Well, how do you keep Johnsson? And how do you keep Kapanen? And how do you keep this guy? And how do you keep that? Woe as us! Woe as the Leafs that they have too many good players.
And might have to trade players for other good players.
This is the thing. When you trade away a guy, the problem with some of those selling moves is it's often magic beans. So that's unfortunate. But if you got to trade a Connor Brown, Andreas Johnsson, Kasperi Kapanen, which I definitely don't love trading any of them, to be honest. I would love to keep the team the exact same way it is. It's just not the reality of the cap world. But if the Leafs have to make those moves, it's up to Kyle Dubas and company, if you will, to recoup value. Is that value prospects? Is it picks? Is it roster players? Dare I say it's all of those things.
What if it's a guy like Jack Roslovic in Winnipeg?
Jack Roslovic, okay.
Yeah, so this is a guy that is a bit of a late bloomer. He's 22.
Didn't he have a hat trick against the Ducks?
Yeah, and he's had trouble getting into the lineup because the Jets are also stacked. But the Jets are looking for forward help.
So he's there, Andreas Johnsson.
Yes, but he's signed for another season at $800,000. That gets you through the cap crunch. 2 playoff teams. Never really happens at the trade deadline, but I'd love to see a young guy slot for another young guy, both NHL-ready guys. Maybe one of our guys is a little further along than one of their guys, but that gives you the cap ability to let's keep the price down, and we still got our guy to play with Nazem Kadri next season, or on the fourth line randomly, because we're putting guys who probably should be on the first line on the fourth line.
Now, is Johnsson a little extra? I think that might be a little too much. I don't know.
Oh, maybe there's more to that. I don't know.
Could Connor Brown and a pick get it done? Kapanen is.
I think
that's outrageous. I really want to keep Kapanen.
What I like about Connor Brown for other teams is that he's cap controlled for the next 2 years, 3 years. Was it a 5-year?
I want to say
deal?
3. It was 4. It was a 4-year deal.
So 2 more years.
Connor Brown's deal expires in 2021 when he will be an RFA.
Still?
Yes.
Interesting.
So that's a pretty attractive guy, right?
I think so. And I mean, Leaf fans, I don't know, a lot of people are still so low on him. I think on another team, he puts in a lot of pucks.
The Oilers should be calling the Leafs. Why aren't the Oilers calling the Leafs?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that as a cheeky Leafs fan going, yeah, we can fleece the Oilers. No, like, genuinely, I think that's a really good fit. I just don't know what the Oilers could give in return.
You know what the Oilers could do if they did get him, though?
What's that?
They could celebrate with a sweet cinnamon breadstick combo. Panago pizza. That's one of Jesse's favorites.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Cinnamon breadsticks. Me likey breadsticks. Do you remember that from Family Guy?
Yes.
When Lois was like, me likey breadsticks, me likey... And then she's like, no, calm down. You learned you're not supposed to do that. Remember?
No.
It was great.
Sweet cinnamon breadsticks, lightly dusted with icing sugar, like Connor Brown, kind of lightly dusting scoring on the Edmonton Oilers front.
And sweet.
And served with our sweet frost dip, which I would imagine is a move that Connor McDavid makes. We'll call it a sweet frost dip.
Hey, in the playoffs, when he was in junior, a little bit of those frosted tips.
Oh.
Did he? Did he go full Backstreet Boys? Or
I think that's usually a thing in the O. Don't they have to dye their hair?
Yeah, they bleach their... I don't get it.
That's funny.
We're a team. We're doing what every other team's doing.
Yeah. Unity by looking ridiculous for 2 months.
Man, it might even be longer than that.
All right.
Anyway, check that out, panago.com. Hey, we also have some videos going out tonight that I think you'll like very much. But we can't really say. But let's just say next week's going to be a lot of fun with Panago. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time.
That was a great transition there, pal.
Thanks, pal.
If Mitch Marner gets 15 more goals and 20 more assists to close out the year, he will finish with 100 points.
That's a lot.
Is it weird that seems low?
What do you mean?
Someone asked me on Twitter yesterday, who finishes with more points this season? Mitch Marner or the Leafs?
That's a good question.
Okay.
In the standings.
Yeah.
And it's funny because
It'll be the Leafs.
the Leafs' success is pretty closely tied to Mitch Marner's success. So there's not too many scenarios where the Leafs go crazy hot and he goes crazy cold. So my answer was Mitch. I think it's going to be Mitch. So him ending with 100 points seems low.
So the Leafs would need 31 points to get to 100.
And Mitch needs 35.
Yes.
In how many games?
They've played 53.
So they've got the 29 yet.
29 left.
I think he can do it.
I don't think he reaches 100 points.
I hope he does.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tight race.
I think I'm betting on the Leafs finishing with more points.
I don't know.
I'll take the...
By the way, I'm betting on the Leafs signing Marner before the end of the season.
Yes.
Betting on
Me
it.
too.
He said no negotiation during the season.
Yeah, well, wait till they walk
said
into his door with $1 million, so we'll see. I believe that's how Darren Farris negotiates.
I'm not even going.
Shut up. oh, sure hope he's a Leaf. And then the next day, he's going to be a Leaf for life.
He's going to be a Leaf for life.
Like, shut up, man.
And then Mike Babcock. Do you see Andrew Walker and his Babcock comment?
Oh, yeah, I think he was probably referencing me because he loves to chirp me, but we're buds.
Well, yeah.
At least I think we're buds. Like, he's like the cool guy, and I'm just the guy that thinks we're friends.
He just picks on you.
Yeah, it could be. But I was like, when Babcock said he's going to be a Leaf for life, I was like, I put the hands up thing.
Well, again,
Because he is.
how many times have I said it? They're trying to talk it. They're speaking it into existence. Mitch is a Leaf for life. He's talking it into existence.
Mitch Marner's contract outlasts Babcock.
Yes.
Yes.
What, Bab's got, what, 4 years left?
And you don't think he's lasting more than 4 years?
Outlast Babcock
This
in
contract.
general or
I
this
mean,
contract?
no, I mean his tenure with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I say yes.
I think Babs will probably retire.
Really?
Well, yeah, because, like, if he wins the Cup with the Leafs, what's he got left to do?
Win
Mitch-
another one.
Sure.
If Mitch is a lifetime Leaf, he's going to be a Leaf for like 15 more years.
No,
Yeah.
That's a lot of
no, Mitch.
years.
Will his next contract
Outlast
expire?
Babs?
before Babcock's time with the Leafs.
Yeah.
Good question. Even the Penguins
that's
went through a
tough.
coaching change between their 3 cups.
2.
Like
coaching changes,
Yeah,
you're
Barry
right.
Trotz move.
Maybe, yeah, Dan Biles moved.
Joel Quenneville just got fired.
But
I'm
Joel
gonna
Quenneville
go.
won all 3 cups with Chicago.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Oh, that's tough.
That's a tough
That's a
one.
very good question,
I mean,
Jesse. I don't know.
Mr. Sutter down in LA up until a couple years ago. Long-term guy, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, really.
This is my impression of like 4 different coaches.
Did Bill
That's also
Belichick-
my Paul Maurice.
Who did that first? Was it Sutter or Belichick? Because they were basically the same guy at press conferences. You excited for tonight's game? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Well, we're preparing. Like, okay, great. That's thank you.
Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
I feel like Belichick just does it because he likes to troll people. He seems like a guy with a good sense of humor.
Yeah, he seems like a smartass, whereas Daryl Sutter, no, that's him.
That's just
That's what he's got.
that's what he'd be like at dinner.
This is delicious. He's like Captain Raymond Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
There you go.
I'm ecstatic.
Leafs play, I would say, their biggest game this Saturday in Montreal against Montreal.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? And like, dude, are the Leafs underdogs? Like,
Well, I mean,
Montreal's been amazing.
Montreal had a great game last night, and if they win, they move into second place in the Atlantic. If they beat the Leafs, they will be second in the Atlantic.
Are they
above
1
the
point
Leafs.
behind?
1 point.
So
This is a
when
big
did Montreal become Tampa from 16-17?
When Carey Price decided to start to play like Carey Price at the beginning of November.
He's been from a certain point in the season,
Best goalie.
sometime in November. Yeah, the best goalie in the league.
Yeah.
In the league. Better than John Gibson, better than Pecorine, better than
Andre Vasilevsky.
Freddie Anderson. Ooh, Vasilevsky's the only one where I'm like, maybe.
But who does care? And Tampa fans, take this as a compliment. Who's got who playing in front of them?
Fair enough.
Right?
Fair
here's
enough.
the deal.
I think you guys are forgetting the actual best goalie in the NHL.
Curtis McElhinney?
Curtis McElhinney.
Yeah.
Oh, did I actually?
Yeah. Shutout on Tuesday.
Hey,
Yes, against
the
The
McMagic is
Pittsburgh
back.
Penguins, I believe. Was
Oh,
it
it's
not?
against the Pittsburgh Penguins, who
Yeah.
can't decide if they're good or bad.
I
the
think he's
weirdest
sitting
thing.
pretty with that 9-15.
Wow, eh? Really?
That's pretty good.
9-15.
Now let's have a look at this first. Just I would say, if there was a team that's been more consistent this year, it's been Montreal. The Leafs, for whatever reason, have had to be fair, the Leafs have had a ton of distractions and have had more points the entire season. But relative to expectations, the Leafs are about where we thought they'd be.
Yeah.
Montreal is way ahead of where we thought they'd be.
Montreal and the Islanders.
They've got a history of rising to the occasion this season. You have to wonder who shows up on Saturday.
And we're at that point in the season where you should be past it. But if you're going to get embarrassed and get your ass kicked, you better get it out of the way now. But it's too close to the trade deadline. It's too close. When does the stretch start? Everyone has their own definition of the end of season stretch.
I'd say 15 games to go.
Ooh, I think that's tight.
Really?
I think I think it's the second the trade deadline passes, but you could argue that the like we're past the midterms. You know? So you only got a few weeks to study, cram, prove you're smarter than you were a few weeks ago. I don't know. It's tough. There is no favorite in this game.
No, there isn't. It's going to be a great Saturday night hockey game between Toronto and Montreal. How long have we been waiting for this?
Oh, it's so good. And Mark Bergevin, just full marks. Full marks for making this team.
Shout out.
Good. Holy crap. We ripped on him for so long.
Listen.
Said he needs to be fired. Ripped on ownership. How are you letting this guy fix the mess he created?
Carey Price fixed it.
No.
Also,
Like
counter-argument.
they weren't getting goaltending early in the season, and they were still winning games.
They were.
They also
The dome
play in a
trade was a good
division
one.
with one team who shouldn't be in the NHL, the Ottawa Senators. So there's a couple free wins
So do
there.
the Leafs. But the Leafs continue to almost lose or lose to the Senators.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Montreal has risen to the occasion this season. Leafs have been up and down. They've played to their opponent. Hopefully, they're on their game on Saturday. That's all I'm going to say. Now,
Sure hope so.
quick shout out because we only have so much time. I don't want to dwell on this.
Yeah.
Can we just a little round of applause for Ron Hainsey for how strong he's looked in the
He's
last
looked
few
better.
games. Guess what? Ron Hainsey finally being used the way Ron Hainsey should be used.
Yeah, I mean, we got aggressive at certain points going, he's washed. No, he's against a certain level
Caliber?
of competition. Yeah, probably. Yeah, he's done facing top guys. And it's unfair. It's a different version of sending a rookie out there against a team's top line.
Yep.
They have the ability, maybe not the smarts. Ron Hainsey has the smarts, maybe not quite the ability. But having him with Travis Dermott, I think, is really smart. He's still decent-ish on the PK.
Take it.
And
Leafs-
Jake Muzzin, oh my God, I love this
Wow,
player.
he's been great. Now,
love this player.
The reason I want to keep moving because we got other stuff to get to. So Leafs are still scouting Carolina. Lawrence Gilman was in Carolina to watch the game. The word is it might be another defenseman, might be that right shot defenseman, maybe Dougie Hamilton, maybe Brett Pesce. But at that point, as Elliot Friedman said, you're talking money in, money out. You're talking player on roster, traded for other player on roster, plus salary considerations. So I wouldn't be surprised if you have a Nikita Zaitsev move. I wouldn't be surprised if you have a Connor Brown move. I wouldn't be surprised if you have a Kapanen or Johnsson move. And you know what? If you want to get, you got to give. So what do you want to give?
God,
I hate losing one of those two. I do.
either of them. They're both so good.
Maybe we won't have to.
And there's a little glitch, too, in the plan. Because for too long, I think we've been saying, well, Kapanen's the guy you bridge, and you can bridge Johnsson too. I think it'll be easier to bridge Kapanen than Johnsson. Johnsson took the 1-year deal and bet on himself in the summer, and he's making less than $800,000?
Yeah, $745, I believe.
You think that guy's taking a 1-year deal?
Oh, no.
2-year deal?
Maybe 3.
3, I think, would be a blessing for Johnsson. That guy... he's going to want a longer deal, and it's hard to argue he hasn't earned it. I want to say Bobby Cappuccino. He was making a joke about, there was a great picture yesterday from the outdoor skate at Nathan Phillips Square. Johnsson just walking along, munching on a hot dog. They had a few of the players eating a hot dog. And the caption was just, when you're the team's best left winger and your coach puts you on fourth line right wing.
Yeah.
He's been so good.
Is the time to trade Johnsson now?
Yes.
Before the trade
Sell high, baby.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Carolina needs scoring.
Yeah.
They need scoring. I don't like it, but if you want to have that other right shot defenseman and pull Nikita Zaitsev out of the lineup, potentially out of your system, and that would actually help them re-sign a guy like Jake Gardner.
Yeah.
If you could do it now, I would do it.
Who goes into the lineup if Johnsson comes out?
Probably Trevor Moore.
Okay.
I don't think... Do they even have a spare forward up with the roster right now?
I don't think so. And here's the fun thing. People are talking about who will be on the wing next year on the fourth line or whatever.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bracco. Jeremy Bracco. And people will be like, why would you play him on the fourth line? Well, Andreas Johnsson and Kapanen both played fourth line minutes. And by the way, Mitch Marner, as of last season, was still playing fourth 9 minutes.
Yeah.
So it happens.
People are talking about prospects you can move for a really good deal. You do everything in your power not to lose one of the two on defense, and God help you, please keep Bracco. When you talk about exactly what you'll need down the line in terms of cheap
cost control
help,
playmaking.
oh my God, this guy's a player. He's so good.
Yep. Yep.
He's going to run the second power play, I think, for a long time behind Mitch.
So
Please keep this player.
Here are 6 Maple Leafs who could be moved to ease the cap crunch, according to Luke Fox at Sportsnet. Okay? So we got William Nylander, Patrick Marleau, Kasperi Kapanen, Andreas Johnsson, Connor Brown, Nikita Zaitsev. Pick 2.
It's a lot of money. That's the thing that's positive about the Leafs. They have a lot of money tied up in guys they can get rid of.
And Willie's been so good recently, too.
I don't think they're trading Willie.
No, I don't think so either, but...
They could have done that earlier. Why do it now?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Adam. And also, though, we're not talking about JVR here when it comes to Kapanen and Johnsson. You can keep them for this playoff run and then trade them.
Yeah.
Because they're RFAs.
100%.
You have a little bit more control there. It's just like I picture what this team will look like heading into the playoffs and taking either of those two off the roster, the type of game they play. I just don't think it makes
trade
sense.
for assets. You get things back.
Yeah. What
I know, but what?
Steve. Okay, so your top 4 is this.
Okay.
Muzzin Riley, Gardner Hamilton, Dermot Hainsey. And no Nikita Zaitsev next year. Or same lineup.
So you're talking Johnsson, Zaitsev out, or Kapanen, Zaitsev out,
or Connor Brown, Zaitsev out. Because Connor Brown was a 20-goal scorer, guys. If he was used in the position that he was used in his first season, he'd score 20 goals again.
The wild card for me here is Carolina, because that owner is so wacky, and I genuinely don't know what they want to be.
You know why I think
what do they want to be?
You know why I think they want Connor Brown, or why they would?
Why?
He's cost controlled.
Yeah.
He has scored 20 goals before.
Yeah.
He's got a great attitude and all that stuff.
Hard-working player.
And they don't have to re-sign him. If they bring in a Kapanen or they bring in a Johnsson, what we know about Carolina is they're extremely cheap and they don't like to pay people.
And think of who's their coach too, Rod Brind'Amour. He likes that two-way game. Selke winner, 2007. Maybe
That's a guy
other
who can
times
score
before
and play defense for you. He can kill penalties for you. I don't like, and I think he's been an effective penalty killer. I don't like not having Connor Brown on the penalty kill. But if Andreas Johnsson is on the penalty kill, I don't hate that either. Anyway,
there's a lot going on.
Lots of options. Let's move on to the Edmonton Oilers, who are currently 2 points out of a playoff spot and want to fucking kill each other. What is going on? Did you see Connor McDavid's look after the last loss?
No, I didn't. Well, so they won yesterday.
Yeah.
4-1 against Minnesota. So, and the one before, I keep saying the Oilers will be losing when I leave the ice surfing set, and I'll come home and Connor McDavid did something crazy and they won.
Yeah.
Then what was it? They all had 4 goals in the third or something? Wow.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that when you watch the Connor McDavid press conference, one of the reporters says, "What's it like to be Connor McDavid right now?" And you see him go, like just in frustration, and then you go, "It's frustrating."
Not even the most frustrated quote, but we'll get to that later.
And I tell you, if there was a Captain of the Year award, it should go to him. It should go to Connor McDavid because he has had to deal with this crap.
How about Patience of the Year award?
Patience of the Year.
Patience of the Year. Because captain, they'll be like, no, a captain would know how to right the ship and get his team out of this, and they'd be winning games with the Stanley Cup. And the
captain isn't signing Mikko Koskinen with 31 career games to a 4-year deal or 3-year deal.
What the hell is going on there? Because all they do is keep playing Talbot.
And they're considering sending down both or one of who is it? Petrovic
and Manning. They scratched them both.
Corey Snazder? I keep forgetting how to say his name.
Schnitzel.
Yeah. He just tweets out a picture of, remember when Homer's on the phone? He's like, oh yeah, something's wrong with the board. No, everything seems to be fine. And he just pours a Coke. Like, is that what Peter Chiarelli did going out the door?
I don't know.
What did that team do to that man?
And why were they allowed to negotiate with Mikko Koskinen starting in November? By the way, they started that negotiation in November.
Ludicrous.
I saw a tweet that was like $4.5 million a season, and then the agent takes his phone away and goes, he thinks per season.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah, oh my God.
Shout out to whoever that was. I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, but that was one of the funniest tweets I've read.
Also,
Koskinen stinks
the
right
Simpsons
now.
reference.
Yes.
Shout out the Simpsons Instagram who listens to us and posted the worst of times, used the burst of times because we brought it up on the podcast,
Really?
so they posted the clip.
Oh, is that what they did?
Yeah.
Is it Simpsons family quotes or
It's
something?
the Simpsons IG.
Yeah, Simpsons
Yeah,
IG.
they're a podcast listener.
That's
Whoever runs the
amazing.
account.
And they
Like a long time.
Don't they have
Oh, yeah.
thousands of followers?
Hundreds of thousands.
Oh my God. Here,
Simpsons.
let me-
So we've worked all our lives to get to this point.
Yeah.
And they are smart enough to put Simpsons quotes on Instagram.
It's
And
it's my favorite account.
Good for them.
Hello, Mr. Thompson. They have 617,000 followers.
Yeah.
That's so fucking great. Good for them. Hey, shout out, guys. Thanks so much for
Wow.
for that.
The Simpsons IG.
But seriously,
You stupid monkey.
I know we're,
There it is. Right there.
I know we're the ones that have called out the Oilers all the time because of all the dumb stuff they're doing. But they are in a logjam with like 9 other teams for that last playoff spot.
Last I checked, the Blues were in a playoff spot.
Unbelievable.
Never would have called that. And also, like, doesn't that sort of kind of axe all the Parayko and
I think so.
Pietrangelo talk? It
Yeah.
must. But the Parayko talk never made sense. Never made sense for the Blues. Pietrangelo, yes. You can justify that. He's only got 1 year left. And you can get a whole big old bunch of stuff for that. Dude, Parayko's on such a friggin' wicked deal. Why would you do that? Why? And now here they are. It's amazing what you can do with goaltending. You show me what is it? You show me a good coach, I'll show you a good goalie?
Interesting.
Or a good goalie, show you a
Interesting.
good
It's
coach?
amazing what you can do with good goaltending because Sam Reinhart said last night, we need more from our goalies. That's a thing you never see. Now, Buffalo's been having a rough ride. They won 10 games in a row. They are no longer in a playoff spot. And here is the direct quote. When asked, he's the second line center, isn't he?
Yeah.
Or is he the third? Is
yeah,
Casey
I think-
Middlestad's the second, right?
No, I think Reinhardt's second. Doesn't matter.
So what
A
happened?
player.
Too many mistakes. We can't expect to win hockey games 6-5, 7-6. We need more from our goalies, and we need it to start. We need it from the start of the games. It's frustrating.
And that reminded one Jeff Merrick. Okay, so we make fun of Jeff Merrick on ice surfing because this
He's
guy.
smarter than all of you.
Like, no, to the point where he's in it. Someone will be like, "Hey, this obscure player from 1976 on a WHA team," and he'll be like, "Oh," and like he knows their whole family history. He knows everything.
So, Steve, he's you, but extra?
Adam, I will never be as smart as Jeff Merrick, ever. If I read 3 books every day for the rest of my life.
No, Jeff's the best. By the
Daily
way,
Faceoff has Sam Reinhart listed as their second line right winger, by the way.
okay. Well, it said center on the article, but that's okay.
So-
Doesn't matter.
He can play both.
John Vogel tweeted out the quote, and Jeff Merrick goes, "Reminds me of a great story. In 1986, Larry Robinson cornered rookie Patrick Waugh, who gave up at least one bad goal a game early in his career, in a sauna at the Montreal Forum, looked him in the eyes, and uttered 4 words, 'No more bad goals,' then walked out." Can you imagine someone cornering Patrick Waugh and doing that?
Larry Robinson could do that, though.
Which reminds me of a quote from something I read once about the 93 playoff run, where Waugh, who used to be so good that he was able to do this sort of shit, walked into the locker room and shouted to his teammates, "No more goals!" He just shouted, "No more goals!" So he took it an extra step. No more bad goals? No more goals! He shouted it like before an overtime. That was the year they won, 10 consecutive overtime games in the playoffs, something like that. As if to say to his teammates, "Listen, just you go out there and try to score. Don't worry about defense. I'll be fine." Patrick Waugh, man.
Does the Reinhardt comments concern you? Because there's literally 2 guys on the team who play goalie, calling out a teammate directly in the media.
I can't remember the last time I remember a player publicly criticizing the goalie.
Yeah.
And you think of how many teams in the NHL have a goalie making a decent amount of money who can't stop a puck. No one I don't remember anyone on the Blues calling out Jake Allen. You can gush about Jordan Binnington, which is maybe a roundabout way of doing it, but you can't just be like, "Listen, the reason we weren't in a playoff spot earlier is because of Jake. He was terrible," and it's sort of difficult to pull that off. It would be concerning to me as a Sabres fan because there was this seeming poison in the room for a while, this negativity, this terrible attitude, and they trade out this player, and okay, we're going to take care of it, and it doesn't really help. So they fire the coach and they fire the GM, and all right, it's Jack Eichel's team now, and it just still seems to be there. You know what I mean? But it's a little bit less of this team sucks and will never be good again. And it's more of this like foreboding, like, oh my God, we had it! We had it! At no point over the last half decade or whatever that the Sabres have been this bad. Well, I shouldn't say this bad. This is the best they've been in half a decade. But in the last half decade of the Sabres being really bad, they've never been as close as they were earlier in the season. Now, a lot of the numbers said this was smoke and mirrors, said they were at very least mediocre, but if you're a player in that dressing room, you probably don't give a shit about any of that. And all you know is you were a top 5 team in the league for a stretch of time. You won 10 straight games, and you were getting great goaltending. Mm-hmm. What happened?
If only they'd kept Robin Lehner.
Dude!
It's true.
And how about he gets out of there, and he's having all the success? I mean, that's maybe stretching a little bit. I mean, Robin Lehner's success is...
leaving Edmonton and all of a sudden being a Vezina candidate.
Well, there's that. But Robin Lehner's success is owed to Robin Lehner. You know,
sure.
Let's say that.
As is Devin Dubnyk's.
But it just seems like there's still a little bit of rot in Buffalo, and they need to... I mean, in a way, it's a big test for Jack Eichel. What does he do? What does he do to right the ship? What is he? Does he pull Sam Reinhart
Fire the coach
aside
again?
Yeah, I know. Does he pull Sam Reinhart aside and go, shut up?
I would. What possible benefit would it be?
Bless you.
Now, Sam, in his defense, was probably just emotional in that moment and a young guy.
Of course.
But you cannot, as the captain, say, oh, that's acceptable. And the coach should pull him aside, too.
I got to talk to Daryl Boyce once in the Marlies dressing room, and he was sort of talking about like just the concept of the post-game interview. And it was really insightful. He's like, listen, after a win, you're at your highest, and after a loss, like you're just beside yourself. Like that is as mad as you're ever going to be, pretty much, is just sitting there in the locker room right after a loss. So players are guarded because they know that's when their emotions are at their highest, and they're going to say some ridiculous shit. And every now and then, like, this is why I think a lot of players give boring answers, because in their head they're screaming murder at like their friends and teammates.
Mm-hmm. People they got to be on the road with and eat with.
People that, like, how quiet you think the Buffalo Sabres bus is right now?
Oh, yeah.
Or plane, I guess I should say.
I don't mean to rush the topic, but we got to keep going.
Sure.
Ottawa Senators. Eugene Melnyk, Matt Duchene, Mark Stone, and a few other things that we got to hit. First off,
this is
a couple nights ago, Eugene Melnyk and the entire Senators hockey team and management hosted a thank you event for the Senators in Ottawa? No, in Toronto.
Oh.
For a group of close to 200 people, mainly the team's corporate sponsors. Now, the reason for that is there's a lot of head offices in Toronto. I'm just giving them a hard time.
Totally.
Please let me do that. During Melnyk's remarks last night, he thanked those in attendance and commented on the importance of the team's partners, as well as talking about the history of the Ottawa Senators during his ownership and the team's more than $105 million contributions to the local community. Mr. Melnyk also confirmed during the presentation that on the hockey side of the business, the expectation is that the Senators' rebuilding plan will take another season or two from now, which is fair. But when his general manager confirms that the Senators have all the pieces of the foundation in place, he made the following pledge to the guests in the audience, to which I know Steve Dangle, I don't even need to ask, Steve Dangle will say, shut the hell up. Why did you even need to say it?
You know, I didn't realize until he finally spoke. Eugene hasn't spoken in a while. Here he comes.
The Senators will be all in again for a 5-year run of unparalleled success.
Unparalleled!
Where the team will plan to spend close to the NHL salary cap from the year 2021 to 2025. He reiterated that the Senators' current rebuild is a blueprint on how to bring the Stanley Cup home to its rightful place.
Trading away your first-round pick
in Ottawa.
Why is the Stanley Cup's rightful place Ottawa?
I think they were one of the first winners, weren't they?
I want to say
1905.
Forever ago, like a very long time ago.
That is from Ian Mendes, by the way, who was there covering it.
Shout out to Ian Mendes.
Ian Mendes is just working his butt off on a tough year.
Tough time, but like if anyone's up to it,
it's Ian.
It's him.
Now,
constant smile.
The Ottawa Senators will spend close to the salary cap. The one thing that hasn't happened yet is they can't get Duchene to sign. Now, here's what Elliot Friedman had to say. I've tried to be very careful reporting on Ottawa's negotiations with Matt Duchene and Mark Stone. Experience teaches you that without a definitive statement like Panarin's, it's a roller coaster ride. Some days it sounds like they're going to sign, other days it's the opposite. With two important players, the whispers double. That's life in high-stake negotiations, especially when Matthews signs with huge bonuses, something the Senators are trying very hard to avoid. Now, if you remember, Austin Matthews makes $30 million over the next two July 1st.
Yeah, it's all bonus laden. Practically no salary.
There are peaks and valleys. People go through a lot of different emotions. We should have a pretty good idea if they're going to sign very soon. Bob McKenzie said last week, they're running out of time here. Now, the Senators have made Duchene an offer, from what we've heard, for 8 over 8. The question I have is why? Not that Matt Duchene isn't worth $8 million now, but I feel like with Matt Duchene, the Senators are offering this deal so it doesn't look like the Colorado trade is all that bad.
Did you hear what I think it was the last Leafs game where Doug McLean said during the first intermission that he doesn't think anybody would offer Duchene 8 over 8, so he should take it.
Interesting. Well, see, Matt Duchene is a very interesting case.
Yeah.
Because somehow, like, one of the nicest, most mature players, like, coming out of junior, that was the reputation. You know,
nicest, most mature, yeah.
Yeah. And he's developed this reputation as a pain in the ass. And I mean, through some pretty unfortunate circumstances.
No, he's had it easy. Oh. He's played on the worst historically bad two teams in the NHL in the last 50 years.
The Avalanche situation did him no favors.
Yeah.
The picture of him with his stick, at Avalanche Media Day after he requested a trade, like, that's his childhood team. And that's sort of what he acted like. He acted like his childhood team broke his heart. I know that look on his face. But I've experienced that feeling there, Matt.
A team trades their franchise best first-line center, and all of a sudden they make the playoffs, and another player wins the Hart Trophy.
So the way he handled it looked bad. The way the Avalanche rebounded looked bad. The way the Senators plummeted looked terrible. But, okay, all right. He's got this resurgence. He's putting up all kinds of points. He's doing great. Oh, the taxi video. Did he have to? Like, literally, Matt Duchene's whole beginning of the season was upended because his Uber driver was in a bad mood.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That is 100,000, and he was, a little careless with his words. Let's be honest. He was a little careless. But how many times? I wonder how many players around the league, they got that yappy teammate sitting in the front seat. They always sit in the front seat, and they give him a little tap, like, shut the
Yeah, this could happen again.
This could happen again. Like, you don't know, or maybe this jerk-off is going to be like, hey, I'm going to release this tape unless you give me $30,000. Like, just throws out some random.
Wow.
You're an NHL player. You got the money. Give me.
That's extortion.
Yes, it is, but I'm sure it happens often.
I don't know.
Jeff Bezos just got extorted. Anyone can get extorted.
Yeah,
sure.
And it's funny reading that story when he's like, yes, the investigation team that he hired, and I'm like, oh, imagine going up against the world's richest man.
Not a battle I'd pick, but hey, it's the National Enquirer. They've survived worse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know how Batman kicks criminals' asses by literally just throwing money at them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet he's able to do that.
They had their Prime accounts suspended for sure.
Yeah, now, now 8 over 8 for Duchene.
It's not bad.
Given the controversies, but also given his play and his age, which I think is 27, is that so far off from what it should be?
My question is, why would the Senators keep him?
Because he's an amazing player, and they have a really hard time getting and keeping those.
And that's within Eugene's window of contending for the Stanley Cup and bringing it home to its rightful place in Ottawa.
I would argue that that's on the downside of Duchene's career.
The second half of the contract, yes.
It should still be good.
Mm-hmm. But Mark Stone, too. I feel like they should trade them both.
At the moment...
Trade them both.
Oh, wow. At the moment, isn't that only giving Duchene a $2 million raise?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, he's making 6 something.
I just worry about the term.
Yeah, the term is tough.
Yeah.
8 years,
but the term. So okay.
But listen, it's better to give $16 million to those two guys than it is to give $12 million to Jay Beagle, Antoine Roussel, and Sutter in Vancouver.
Like, at least you're signing dynamite players,
They are
right?
dynamite
Also,
players.
Yes.
Is Duchene not better used as assets for the rebuild?
That's
is it
my
not
point.
better to, instead of spending this $8 million on this one center over the next 8 years, you trade him now and you get all these other pieces?
And you give that money to Bacho next year.
And you take that, and then you also have the $8 million, and you have all the stuff, and then you don't have to be good, and you can suck, and you could rebuild.
That's the thing, right? You got Hot Sam Bacho, Thomas Chabot.
and you're going to be bad next year. So maybe you'll get the first overall pick next year if you're lucky.
But I
you're
just
definitely
feel
not
like
going to get this year.
you're just
you don't
going to
have
be constantly chasing this scenario where all your players on your team are good and also cheap. Like, it just, no team ever
doesn't
finds
exist.
a way to achieve
Doesn't
it.
exist.
It doesn't exist. So you have these two great players. Why not try to hold on to them? This is why I was saying this Senator season reminds me of the 2009-10 Leaf season when they didn't have their first overall, or didn't have their first round pick. Almost first overall. It was second, and it was Tyler second. That was bleak. That was awful. But what makes this even worse is the Leafs didn't have two good pending unrestricted free agents ready to go. They didn't have players the caliber of these two.
No.
This is what makes it the most bleak, and it's also why if you can keep one and trade another and get assets.
You keep Stone, get rid of Duchene.
Keep Stone, well,
'Cause he's
or
the younger
keep
one,
Stone.
right?
He's
Or
been the
vice
guy.
versa.
Although apparently Duchene really likes it in Ottawa too, and I don't see why you wouldn't.
And he's
It's
just
a
had a
great
kid,
city.
maybe wants a little bit more stability.
Take a discount then, Matt Duchene.
Well, I think
You
$8 million?
You got to overpay Matt Duchene to stay. That's what
I
you're
thought
doing.
you just said he liked it.
He does like it.
So
but
take a discount.
But Ottawa needs to overpay Matt Duchene to stay. If Matt Duchene doesn't think he can get that on the open market, take your money.
I think if Matt Duchene agrees to 8 over 8, Ottawa should sign him tomorrow. I
just don't
that.
think it's been offered. I don't know. He might want to go to open market. And at that point, Ottawa could still try to sign him.
Well, and if you're
Pierre Dorian, trade him and then try to sign him.
Matt Duchene, like, unrestricted free agency was made for you. Like, that's another really good point there, Adam. Like, why not just go to the open market
Why not try?
and get as much money as possible? The answer might be a little bit of stability.
Also,
maybe he's open to, he's still got the glow of being a new daddy. Maybe he's more open to signing an 8-year deal.
my question to Matt Duchene would be, what are your chances of getting 8 over 8 on the market? And any team that can offer you that, are they a team that really has a chance? Ottawa, at least, is a team that's tearing it down. And we know you stockpile draft picks, you make the right picks, you have to hit on 3 or 4 guys, kind of like what the Leafs did, and look at what happens.
You know what? The team that stole Erik Karlsson, the San Jose Sharks, this past season signed known pain in the ass, but putter of pucks in net, Evander Kane. Mm-hmm. They signed him to 7 times 7. There's 8 times 8 for Matt Duchene out there.
Oh, yeah.
It's
He's
out
a
there.
center. All right.
And he's a center.
Let's move on.
There's 8 times 8 out there.
Let's talk about the Ducks. From our boy Pete Blackburn, the Ducks have lost 18 of their last 20, have been outscored 6-31 in their last 6 games. As in, they've scored 6 and had 31 against.
That is just stunning.
Randy Carlyle still has a job. Now, according to 31 Thoughts from Elliot Friedman, Anaheim held a team meeting on Sunday after a 9-3 loss in Winnipeg. It was blunt, but the players reminded each other that they're still only 2 points out of a playoff spot. That came just before the 6-1 defeat in Toronto.
Oh, so that was 3 games ago?
Yeah. Now, here's what he had to say about this. If the Ducks are optimistic about anything right now, it's their ability to sign Jakob Silfverberg.
The Ducks, by the way, got shut out by the Sens, who are on the second half of a back-to-back and playing their backup goalie.
Yes.
They lost 4-0.
They want to re-sign Jakob Silfverberg. They're hopeful it can happen before the deadline, but there's a scenario where it might have to wait till later. Anaheim is, quote, tagging the issue. Here's the issue I have. We went through Anaheim's cap-friendly last episode. We don't need to do it now. We're running short of time.
Yeah.
We said that Anaheim is already up against it. Mm-hmm. So they're going to re-sign this guy and be exactly the same next year as they are this year.
This team needs to... The time to fire the coach is past. It's past.
Yeah, they'll do it at the end of the season now.
You got to fire the GM. Now, arguably. Look, it was his At least Bergevin, again, like I got to keep giving the guy credit if he does well, right? At least he was able to clean up the mess. Bob Murray won't do it.
He refuses.
The mess is your friend who's the coach.
And the mess is also Bob Murray.
Yeah.
Bob Murray has made, I don't blame him for the Corey Perry contract at all. When he signed that contract, he's a 50-goal scorer.
But this was always the problem. The Getzlaf contract, the Perry contract, the Kessler contract.
That's the one.
But at the time of the signing, for all three of those guys, they were good players.
Yeah, but Kessler was not a $7 million player.
Probably not. But the issue was the term.
Yes.
The term was bananas. This was always the caution when signing those deals is this exact situation might happen. And here he is sitting in it.
Well, and here's why he'll lose his job. Because Adam Henrique, who's making $4 million this year, signed an extension last offseason for 5 more years at almost $6 million a season.
Team's got to stop doing that.
He's 29 years old. He will be 30 when that contract kicks in. 30. My age.
It's like the Carey Price deal, and that hasn't worked. Oh.
Well, that worked out okay.
Yeah, so far. Year one. Year one.
Year
You have
one.
7 years to go.
Oh,
I
man.
know. And listen, if I've learned anything, don't bet against Carey Price. The guy always comes back. It's pretty crazy.
God, I am not looking forward to, like, Berkshire, who is not a Habs fan, but definitely is.
No.
Talked about...
No.
Definitely not.
Noted non-Habs.
Doesn't love Kotkaniemi at all.
Can you imagine a first-round series, Leafs-Habs,
Oh.
where enemy number 1 in Toronto has Domi on his back?
What a timeline we live in.
What a circus shit show.
How can we arrange something where we're watching the game with Berkshire?
We'd probably have to do it over Skype or something, wouldn't he?
No, let's just go to Montreal.
Dude, my wife's really pregnant.
Okay, leave her.
Yeah, and his wife already gave birth, so... Tie goes to the veteran.
Are you saying babies are important?
Yeah, first they're paperweights and now they mean something?
Just
Come on, Adam.
I'm not. Listen, they're important. I just don't think they can do very much when they start.
Oh, you! With your babies. Come on.
Another
we're
team
going
that is
Montreal.
looking to remain exactly the same, being as bad as they are, is the Detroit Red Wings, who are trying to somehow, even though they could recoup assets for Nick Jensen, are trying to re-sign him. And then they're trying to re-sign Jimmy Howard, who they could also trade for assets and then potentially re-sign as a free agent, but no, let's re-sign him now and not recoup the assets. And that goes along with Red Wings head coach Jeff Blashill, who has not had a winning season. They have not had a winning season since Mike Babcock left, and he will be getting an extension too.
Yeah, but that's a... You know what? I'd be more critical of Jeff Blashill if the team he had on paper wasn't bad every year.
Yeah, they are bad.
They've been bad every year of his tenure.
According to Elliot Friedman, they believe he's pushed the right buttons. Detroit
Detroit, I agree with that.
cannot stop re-signing its own mediocre players.
Wow. First of all, wow. Second of all, Jimmy Howard is a very interesting one. They'll probably sign him for too long. But he is a good goalie, and those are hard to come by this
But
year.
you trade him to a team that doesn't have one, so you can get an asset, and then you re-sign him.
No, you try to trade him to a team that has a good young one that they're willing to give you.
I would say, and here's where I'm going to throw a little wrench in the plans. Ready?
Oh, boy.
You ready?
Remember when everyone wanted to sign in Detroit? How the times have changed.
It's interesting. Funny
Wow,
when Zetterberg and Datsuk are no longer there. Now, let me
And
throw
let's-
this at you, okay?
Hey,
Just came out
Zetterberg's
today.
half contract is still there.
What's that?
Zetterberg's kind of contract is still there.
True. Datsuk's a Coyote. No, he was last year. It's expired now.
And there's been, like, subtle talk of him making an NHL return at some point.
Do you know the name Dan Milstein?
Dan Milstein. Yeah, he's an agent.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that Panarin's agent?
Until this afternoon.
What?
What?
Artemi Panarin
Did that just happen?
just fired his agent, and guess who he signed with?
Who?
Bobrovsky's agent.
Girl.
What?
Who's Bobrovsky's agent?
I don't know. Didn't get that far.
Wow.
I'll find out.
Darren Farris.
Darren Farris.
All of a sudden,
I love this man! Can you imagine? Sorry, Mitch. Whee!
Elliot Friedman is suggesting this. Word today that our Artemi Panarin has joined teammate Sergei Bobrovsky with Paul Theofanos The Thanos. The Thanos.
He's got all the stones.
That's right.
All the Infinity Stones.
The Panarin Stone. The Bobrovsky Stone. Sorry. This is going to lead to plenty of speculation. They could be a package deal in free agency. We will see how it plays out.
I would say this highly increases the chance they end up in Florida with the Panthers.
Right. And here's what I think. If somehow Dale Talon can convince the new Thanos. If you can get through to Thanos,
let's
say
do
Thanos,
that.
listen,
Yes.
I want to talk extension. He makes the deal now. Mike Hoffman goes to Columbus along with a few
Brassard
other things.
and Reimer.
And here's what I would do. Apparently, if Bobrovsky gets traded, Columbus is targeting Jonathan Quick. They want to get him. If I were them...
What? Where
If
did this come from?
That was also, I believe, that was something that was said yesterday. Jonathan Quick was a name that came up. I would say a smart move for them would be Jimmy Howard. Relatively inexpensive, a guy that you probably can re-sign, but if Korpisalo takes over, then who cares?
Yeah.
Man, Columbus and Carolina
They are
just
the linchpins.
Holy mackerel, could a lot happen there.
Small note about Columbus. Last night, Tortorella was... I have a vested interest in what happens with the lines of Columbus because I have 2 Columbus players on my fantasy team.
Bobrovsky and Panarin?
So last night, he played the top line 14 minutes, and Cam Atkinson was not happy.
Torts.
So I don't know what's going on there, but Torts is doing things.
He has an expiry date.
Yeah.
He has an expiry date.
Happens all the time.
I don't think it's this season, but I think it's next. He's about 4 years. 4 or 5 years. Like Tampa, he had, 4 or 5 years?
That was the Canucks' problem, and granted, it was a disaster after 1 season. They signed him to 5. There was never a scenario where that contract was going to be good because the shelf life for Torts is 3. That is the number 3. And then after that, you're just putting your life in someone else's hands. Mm-hmm. It's just not smart. He drives his team nuts after 3. And now the team, with all these trade rumors, it's just coming undone.
Mm-hmm. Panarin is going to open market. He swears up and down. But I bet you if Florida says, hey, how's $12 million sit?
It's a lot of money.
Is he going to get it from anyone else?
It's a lot of bread.
He's getting get that bread.
Well, and also the tax situation. So it maybe takes less than 12 to get it done.
Actually, I wanted to throw this out there, and I forgive me because I forget who the person was that sent it to me, but we talked about the Kevin McGran tweet that I read on the last video. Was it totally true about the tax exemptions that Matthews had? Because while he only had to pay 15% tax because he's an American resident, he does have to pay resident tax in Arizona. So there is taxes there. However, somebody pointed this out to me, and I don't know why we don't talk about this more. It's a really good point. NHL players get paid in American dollars, which means their spending capacity in Canada is 30% higher than it would be in the States.
If you're an American, if you're anybody and you choose to live in Canada while you play here, oh my God, you're getting wicked value.
You're getting $1.30 on every dollar you spend, and so
on everything.
So imagine, let's add 30% to $11.5 million.
Yeah, let's do math for sure.
So, 11.5.
Yes.
Times.
Yes. I love it.
So you're looking at that contract, the Matthews deal, going up by a couple $1 million.
Sorry, what?
Did you bail?
Did
you bail out of?
It's about $3 million.
It's more, is what it is.
So it's more.
Is it significantly more?
No, it's 3.4.
I'd call that what? Whoa, 3.4. Wow.
About $3.4 million.
Probably, maybe.
Math me. No, so he's making about $15 million Canadian. No, is he?
That's fun.
10%, 3% of.
He's making more than 11.5.
Yeah, so 3% of $10 million is $3 million, right? So add that extra little percentage on there with the 11.5.
This is like 13 something.
Yeah,
you buy a house here.
Oh no, that's $3 million plus the 11.5. That's
for
closer
crying
to
out
15
loud,
million.
he makes more because the exchange rate is the point.
Let's not dwell.
Let's just say he's doing okay.
You buy your car here, and you probably get a deal on that car because it's an endorsement deal. You buy a condo
Subaru.
here. It's a Baja.
Like
bright yellow. You get it used off Adam Wild.
And then people think you're a taxi and try and hop in your Subaru.
That happened.
That did happen. The banana boat. I miss it dearly.
While you may not have the same tax benefits, you do have higher spending power here. So your money goes further. So that's something that maybe an accountant could work with a little bit better. I am not one, clearly. But there are potential spending opportunities in Canada that you would not have in the States because you get paid in American dollars up here.
Also, you play for the Leafs, and everybody gets an endorsement.
Everybody's like, here's money, please, please.
Everybody. Freddie Anderson is in a series of insurance commercials.
And he didn't he just post a picture the other day with his new BMW?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, okay.
I think a few of them have been to that dealership.
There's not enough time, but I was going to be like, hey, let's go through every Leafs endorsement deal.
Let's not.
Basically, every player has one.
You know, I'm glad we don't have the time.
Yeah.
Even if we did have the time, let's not do that.
Hey, everybody, shut up. Iceberg's got something to say.
Oh, I see you, Mr. Titanic. Let me just get in your way. Whoa.
And just drop the shoulder and right into the hull. Just,
Shall we do a quick press conference? We have 4 minutes.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
This is my favorite question, and I'm going to alter it a little bit. It's from Team Buds. Got 3 upvotes on our Reddit page. Said, if you own the new Seattle team, and you could only choose one of these GMs to hire, who would it be?
And they're all going to be bad.
You have to give this GM free reign to do whatever they want. The options are, they only had 3 options, but I'm going to add 2 more. 1, Dave Nonis.
Ooh.
okay.
2, Peter Chiarelli.
Yeah, I knew he was going to be on that.
3, Mike Milbury.
Ooh.
4, Pierre Maguire. 5, a potato.
Potato.
The potato.
Potato all day. I auto-draft before I pick any of those guys.
All right.
Yeah, okay. So literally, you pick the highest scoring available player on the...
What if you needed a
On Central Scouting. Is it Central Scouting?
Well, Central Scouting, but also who they have available in the expansion draft, right? The highest scoring exposed player.
On every team.
What if you need a defenseman?
Well, no, you pick the highest scoring defenseman in a particular category, right? When you draft, though, you just pick high scoring players.
What if you need a defenseman in your draft?
Well, you trade.
Okay,
Trade skill
You can't make a trade. You're a potato.
Can we
Potatoes
talk
can
about
make trades later.
No,
the best-
that's not in the potatoes wheelhouse.
All right, you can categorize, all right?
the best 2 options out of the 5
Gene
are
Willikers.
Dave Nonis and a potato. A rivalry for the ages. It's been going on for over half a decade. Dave Nonis versus a potato.
Who's your second pick out of those 5?
Dave Nonis.
Yeah, Adam, who's your
My
second
first
pick?
pick is a potato. My second pick.
After a potato, who comes in second?
Oh my god. No,
Do you have a second pick, Adam?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
So wait, we got to rank these guys?
You know
Yeah.
what?
okay. No.
You know what? Pete Chiarelli.
Yeah.
He's my second.
All right.
He does have a cup.
He does.
Ask me who's third.
Who's third?
Dave Nonis.
Oh.
You pick Peter Chiarelli over Dave Nonis.
Yep.
Who's fourth?
Ooh, I don't know, man.
How many do we have? Who?
Milbury or Maguire is left?
Milbury.
Oh, God. No. Okay, so here's the thing. Pierre Maguire is a wild card. Mike Milbury is widely regarded as the worst GM ever. So do you go with the
least you
evil
make
you
that-
know or the evil you don't know? How do you be worse than the worst?
Because I read the quotes in the Pierre Maguire Hartford story, and Pierre Maguire didn't have enough time to be considered the worst coach in NHL history. He was only there for 40 games.
I think the answer is give the team back. How bad do you want a hockey team? Not that bad. Just give it back. Work on the Supersonics. Like you don't need the hockey team that back. You never had one. But yeah, the 20s, whatever, those don't count. That was ages ago.
Yeah.
Get the basketball team
Pete
back.
Chiarelli. Pete Chiarelli would be my guy.
All right.
After the potato.
That's it. Oof. That was our quick press conference.
Okay, hey, we love you.
We're out of time.
We'll be back next week. Probably back to a more normal schedule. Probably Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Do you have any,
I think so.
Yeah.
do you have any more audio books to read
No.
there, Steven Dangle?
Hey,
No.
Boogie Woogie.
Did you write another book?
Quick thing. So a lot of people have been like, hey, is your book going to be in the very specific store near me? The answer is I have no idea yet. We're working on getting the book into
Amazon
stores.
exists,
Yeah.
man.
There's also that.
The
But
internet.
if you call up your local bookstore, so that could be an indie bookstore, it could be Indigo, could be whatever, call them up and ask if they're going to stock it. And if the answer is no, ask if they can.
Hey,
Follow
Jesse.
up. When are you going to eat the damn pepper?
The clock's ticking, so I guess I'm on schedule to do it now. The audiobook's done.
Hey, Jesse.
So when?
So
Stop
no.
delay.
So here was my thought. I think I should do it here.
On the podcast.
I think I should do it on the podcast.
Sure. We can live stream it as well.
Yes.
Nice. We have those capabilities.
Okay.
Cool.
So with
Next
that
week?
in mind, oh boy,
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Get a trash can. I'm not going to be able to do it.
Tuesday. That'll be the press conference on Tuesday.
Dude, I'm not going to be able to do it.
The only thing I want to see on the Reddit
I'm not going to be able to do it.
The only thing I want to see on the Reddit thread is eat the pepper, Steve. That is the only thing I want to see from now until Tuesday.
Next week.
Nothing else.
What, do you want me to do it before I get here?
No. Tuesday, our press conference questions will not be questions. They will be statements, and the statements will be eat the pepper, Steve.
Oh, God.
Do this. It's the right thing. Okay. We love you. We got to go. See you later.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at Panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.